Good evening and welcome to the Let's Talk Destiny talk show. I am beyond thrilled tonight to have one of my Queen sisters join me tonight on my platform. We have connected on social media for many years, and she has been a constant source of inspiration for me, even when she didn't realize it. As you know, this month our theme has been from formulation to fruition with purpose. And since September is a month that's known as the ninth month that we give birth or what have you, I wanted to talk with people this month who have had dreams and visions and goals that are kind of challenging, kind of like childbirth. And they push through and they birth those things. And Gloria Walker, actually, Dr. Gloria Walker is one such young lady. And I'm so honored to have you here with me tonight. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
So before we get into the conversation, just tell us a little bit about you. What is your current occupation? What are your hobbies? What makes you smile?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, where can I start? Well, I will say, I I recently was released. I was working with the state of California, and but I know what I know what my purpose is. I was working with the what was it, the unemployment doing claims. And so a little situation occurred, and so this just let me know that God has something else in store for me. I have actually three businesses. I have three, and I'm gonna take some time and I'm gonna focus on those businesses. And one is Gloria's Hair. I have that as an LLC. I also have Gloria's Vending. That's the LLC as well. And then my other one is Gloria's Learning Center. That's a nonprofit that I have, and I'm going to dedicate more time to that because that's where my heart is. And so, because I didn't come this far to just keep working for someone else. It's time that I, work for myself and do what God has given me, to do to help others. And so, I'm just a country girl, little black girl from the South. Uh, I'm from Louisiana. I came to California at the age of 12, and my mother had passed, and so I had no choice but to come, and stay with my mom's side of the family. And I don't regret anything that I have been through, in my life, as far as having to pack up and move out here, because there was some things that had happened to me as a child, and it probably would have turned out worse, had I stayed. So that's a little bit about me.
That's
I mean, I can go
awesome.
on and say more, but I'm gonna let you go ahead and talk.
Okay, that's fine. That's what we're here for tonight, to have a conversation.
Mhm.
And when I was looking at your bio, one of the things that stuck out to me was that you said you graduated high school, but you had no intention or no desire, you didn't have any expectation for going to college. Is that because of what had happened in your childhood? What was going on with some of your family members that you didn't feel like you could accomplish that?
Well, to be honest with you, here I am. I'm a doctor, but I didn't think I was smart enough. I did not think I was smart enough because I didn't see people going to school around me. I didn't get that encouragement. I didn't. Someone else in my family, who was lighter than me, I'm dark, and it's sad to say that, but yeah, my cousin, she was the one that got the encouragement and the pat on the backs, and so I didn't. And so for me, as far as having my childhood sexual abuse that I went through, that kind of, it played a part in me not really believing in myself and doubting myself. And it was a lot that I had to deal with. And so little by little, I gained the confidence. Little by little, I gained the confidence. But it was not until I put myself into therapy
Okay.
is when God was like, okay, now you can go ahead and do what I called you to do. Go ahead and reach your goal, go ahead and move forward. Because I kept doubting myself. I thought I was ugly. I thought, I wasn't smart. I mean, it's just the way that we as African Americans tend to do our children when they're little, it plays a big part.
Absolutely.
A big part in who they are as they grow up and become, adults. And so by me going through, the situation I went through, we always, I was taught you don't go out and tell the family business.
Right.
You
That's
gotta,
right.
be quiet, don't say anything. So as I went through my childhood sexual abuse, I didn't even tell my mom. I didn't tell my mom, and she took it to her grave, not even knowing. And it was just, sad and unfortunate. But I went off and I told my grandmother, and I started crying. I think I had two children by that time. And so I told her, and I told her how I felt, and I cried,
Yeah.
but still nothing was done. Nothing was done. And I'm just like, how could you sit around here and still talk to these individuals? And actually it was a cousin, it was an uncle. The uncle was the one who started molesting me when I was 5 up until I was 12. Then I come to California. Then it's a cousin
Yeah.
where I was living at. And then it was a deacon of a church. And so the cousin, I did tell, my aunt, and she said, "Oh, he didn't mean to do it. He didn't mean to do it," trying to brush it off. And, she's going on home to glory, God rest her soul. But it made me feel like, well, here I go again.
Right.
I'm repeating the same old cycle. What is wrong? I started to think, is there something wrong with me?
Absolutely. And why
Mhm.
wouldn't you? Because all of these bad things are happening to you. And as a child, you can't process that. And so you automatically start thinking, well, if it keeps happening to me, then I must be doing something to make it happen. And you said something so important with regard to how we treat children and even the words that we use. Sometimes we say things and then we go on, we forget all about it. But
Mhm.
those words or that phrase stays with that child. I mentioned this sometimes when I was like maybe 8 years old, I think it was. I was one of these kids that was always crying. Like
Mhm.
I was always, something was making me cry. Part of that something was that I too was being molested
Mhm.
by a married family member.
Wow.
And I didn't tell anybody. And he told me if I told people, bad things would happen to me, whatever. So that's one reason why I kind of withdrew into myself and I cried a lot. And I remember one night we were out to dinner and my mother, my father, and my sisters and I was crying again. I don't even remember what I was crying about that time. And my mother says to me, if you don't stop being so sensitive, you're going to have a really hard life.
Mm. Mm.
Now, I can't say what she meant for those words to me because only she knows what she meant. I can only say how I received them.
Yeah.
And what I received was that because if any bad thing happened to me, it would be my fault
Yeah.
because I was too sensitive and I was making these things happen. That's what my 8-year-old mind processed. And so every time something happened to me, each time I was molested, each time I was mistreated, each time I was closed in a closet, stuff like that, I said these things are my fault because I am too sensitive and I'm making these things happen. And
Mhm.
I was an adult before I even told anybody what was going on or how it affected me. And so I listened to you talk, and once again, I am reminded of the power of words. And one of the many gifts that you have is an author and poet. I do definitely. I remember reading some of your poetry. Do you feel like that gift of writing was birthed, or should I say, it started growing in you because of some of the things you had been through?
Most definitely. Most definitely. I definitely will say it did. it helped my healing. It helped my healing along with, going to therapy. But it definitely, I didn't even know I had the gift to write, and I love to write. And yes, poetry definitely helped me to heal because that was my getaway. I don't smoke cigarettes, I don't do drugs, I don't drink alcohol. So that was my escape.
Yeah.
That was my escape. And it's just, I'm just in awe how, just to see how God is just, just giving me the gift even more as I get older. Because I used to, out the top of my head, I can do a poem right now. And I'm just like, oh, wow, and I thank God for it. I definitely do.
And I am absolutely convinced that within us is unique gifting and unique talents and whatever we need to survive and to thrive in life. And I think that the enemy allows things to happen sometimes to block us from seeing that, because he doesn't want us to realize that everything you need to make it is within you. One of the other things that you and I have talked about down through the years was being a single mother. And when you have been through what you've been through as a child or whatever, and then you become a mother, and especially to girls, I can only imagine the concerns that you had with regarding to your daughters.
Yes, I was very overly protective, very protective. And it didn't help them. It didn't. I can say for my oldest daughter, it did not help her because I tried to cling and hold on to my, my children. And she ended up in a situation. I'm not really sure of the full situation because I never got the truth. But it was like no matter how much we sit there and we can hold on to them, what's gonna be. You cannot overly protect put them in God's hands.
Right?
All we can do is put them in God's hands and just pray for them and keep it moving. But I definitely was with my children. And I can see that. I think I wrote that in one of my book. Yeah, my book. And I'm gonna have to send you a copy.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you.
and so it definitely it made me, I didn't trust a lot of people. I didn't trust a lot of people at all. And it made me, and I'm kind of glad to a certain extent that I was all about my children because it was just, work, school, church, my children. That's all it was. I just focused my life around them. But as I got older, I'm like, you gotta let them go. You gotta
I
let
understand.
them
I
go.
understand. Because we have to accept the fact that each of us has our own journey that we have to walk. And as a mom, you are their first protector. Like before they even birth into the earth realm, you are their protector because while they're inside your womb, everything you eat affects them, everything you drink affects them, how you feel emotionally affects them. So everything that you do and say affects them. So you become very protective of them. Then once they come out into this world, this cruel world, of course, excuse me, you want to protect them even more. But you have to learn that they've got to walk their journey, just like you had to walk yours, and it's not easy. Oh Lord, no, it's not easy. But we have to trust God. Like He gave them to us, and we have to trust Him that He knows what's going to happen with them. Now, one of the very first thing that I wanted to talk to you about with regard to your achievements is your academics. I am absolutely floored by what you have achieved, partly because my sister and I joke about this a lot. I started college after high school. I went to college to get away from home. I had no desire whatsoever to go to class. I didn't want to get a degree. I just wanted to get away from home. And I said I would never go to another church as long as I lived because I was in church 7 days a week and 3 times on Sunday, for God's sake. And so I went away to college and not having been exposed to anything but church. It's kind of like turning a child loose in a candy store and say, just get one piece of candy. It's not going to happen. So I went away to college and I was doing everything but going to school. And everything somebody asked me to try, I tried it. Crazy, but I tried it. And so I kept, after all of that, I ended up pregnant with my first son. So then I kept saying I had to drop out of school. I kept saying, I'm going back to school, I'm going back to school, going back to school. Went back to school. Then I couldn't get a babysitter. Nobody would help me with my son. So I dropped out again. Then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it again. Well, I'll be darned, 12 years later, I had another child. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna be able to go back to school now because I got a 12-year-old, almost a teenager, and a newborn. And, it's just every excuse in the book, and life happens. So when I see women such as yourself who push through challenges and literally knock down walls to achieve these things, I want to publicly salute you.
Thank you.
Because this past Saturday you had a graduation, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
What degree did you receive Saturday?
Yes. My doctorate of education and organizational leadership.
Awesome. Oh, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Because I know that we don't talk every day, we don't talk every week, but I know that there have been some challenges that you have faced, and it would have been so easy to just say, just forget it. Sometimes when you have a family, you have family dynamics, and the family dynamic gets messed up, and the kids, they're doing whatever it is they're doing, and the husband, he's doing whatever he's doing, and you just like, okay, just forget it. Like, I just sit here but that is not what God had planned for you. And I am so proud of you. Like, I watch you when you post on social media about your learning center and your hair care products, which I keep saying I need to buy, but I haven't gotten around to yet. And I just want you to know that I am proud of you. I want you to be encouraged to produce even more. No matter what season you're in, you can still produce. Now, what would you say if you had to choose? What is your greatest achievement at this point on your journey? What would you say that is?
Never giving up. I could say my greatest achievement is basically no matter what I've been through, I have never given up. I'm in the process of finalizing my divorce. That didn't stop me. I kept going. I pushed even harder. I kept going. And I just want to mention this. When I started school when it took God to place people in my life that believed in me. So if they believed in me, I had to start believing in me. And it started at City College of San Francisco. And I want to say it was in 1995. First, I started with the little junior college, community college in the neighborhood. That wasn't enough. I'm like, no, I want more. And what caused me to want more was not seeing my parents. My parents didn't graduate. They didn't graduate middle school. They didn't graduate high school. I'm a little black girl from the South, from the projects, but we had love in the home. I do know that. But I remember my daddy walking me to preschool, and I hold on to those memories because that meant so much to me. And the community center where my mom would let me go, they had like these people would come and I went to camp. It would be like church. They would have, meetings while my other friends was outside playing. I'm in there, a little girl. I mean, what, 10, 11, 9, just in there getting this. I remember the pamphlets they would give us. And I am so glad that God placed me in those projects. I am so glad, because that's what got me here to this day. Because my mom took me to church. I mean, we went to church. I mean, I had an older mom, and an older father. So they didn't do the club and alcohol and drink. We went to church. She was at the Urship board. I was in the choir, baptized at the age of 5. And my family was very church, oriented. So I thank God for that I was born not into a rich family, but a God fearing, church going family. And so I can truly say God had his hands on me. He had
Wow.
his hands on me. So every time, getting back to, starting school, I met this counselor, Mr. Clark. And so he was like, okay, he said, Glow, you done been here long enough. You can't keep coming, taking classes. You gonna have to graduate. And so I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Sat down, did the educational plan, and I'm just like scared. Like, where am I supposed to go from here? This is junior college. He said, I got a school for you. I said, oh, here he go. I was afraid of math. I was afraid of math.
Oh my God, me too.
He gave me some information for this college. Yes, he but it was just how God worked. I maneuvered and got my ways through, around that math. And it was just so awesome because when I got to the school, I applied, New College of California, for my bachelor's degree. The teacher said, if you come, you will pass. So if I came to class, that mean I would have get the information.
Right, right,
So
right,
after
right.
work, I put myself in school. I would work at San Francisco Unified School District, and then I'm trying to my kids. I had somebody watching them, some family member,
Yeah.
and then I would go. I started going after work, and then they said, we got a weekend program. I said that works even better. I would go to Sunday school, go to church, and then I would leave church and go to school. It was a desire that I had that I was not going to let anything stop me. I
Wow.
was not. Each step of the way, I was scared. I was like, no, this ain't it. After I finish that, you got to keep going. You got to keep going.
You
And
had
so,
that hunger, like you
yeah,
had that innate hunger and thirst. And I tell you, when you have that hunger, you will push past anything. Sometimes you don't even realize what you've come through until you look back at what you made it through. Like you don't realize
right,
some things that you've gone through would have destroyed somebody else. But
right.
because you had that hunger, and that's what I see in you, that's what I hear in you, and I believe that's what you instill in your daughters. Like you got to want it, like that passion, what drives you. I just love it. I love it.
Yes, and I have a passion and a desire to help people. I know that's my God-given ability, and it's like, okay, Lord, I want God to, send me where He wants me to go. I don't want to do what I want to do. And I know that God has given me, abilities. He's given me talents, and I want to continue to help others and, motivate. And some people be like, "Why do you do all that? Why do you?" And I'm like, because God gives me this to do, and I know my gift. I didn't know it a few years ago, but I know I'm put on this earth to motivate, and to help the women, the queens. And a few men have been like, well, why don't you, motivate us? That's not where God wants me to be. I'm not a man. I can't
And
tell.
that's so important. It's so important for you to know. I run into so many people, and not just young people, but even people my age who still don't have a clue what their purpose is. They have no focus. They have no idea which direction they should be going in. Well, how can you get there if you don't even know where you're going? And I think
Right.
it is so important that we have focus and purpose. And that's like my favorite word this year has been purpose, because after these last couple of years with the medical challenges, and then the whole thing with the COVID, and then people dying left and right that I know personally and whatever, it's been a challenge. But I know what my purpose is. And that's why some days when I'm not feeling great at all, I can still say to somebody else something that will make them smile.
Right.
I can still, because once I finish the call with them or get off, sign off social media, I may lay across the bed and just cry because I'm in so much pain. But I know that for a few moments that day, I brought some sunshine to somebody's life, because that's my purpose. And
Mhm.
that's what I see and hear in you, is knowing your purpose is the reason why you can't stop.
Right.
So what do you want to do next?
Okay. Definitely. I want to open up my own school. I want to open up my own school, and I definitely want to cater to special needs children. Um, I have a passion for that. I have worked with special needs children, and a lot of people don't have the patience and they don't want to work with special needs children. And it definitely will not be in California. I plan, if God says the same, I want to relocate to Georgia.
Okay.
And I have a lot of people I have connected with, and they want me there. They want me there. They want to hire me. And I know that what God has given me would be better served out in Georgia. And I
Okay.
can reach more of the people who I would love to help. Even from my hair products. I want to go into maybe shelters, talk to young women, talk to young girls. Definitely, I just had a book. I just written a book, and I haven't even really promoted the book.
Oh
And
my
God is just
goodness.
like, this, huh?
No better than that.
Yeah, I haven't been because I mean, I don't have any desire. I just want to I want to give it away. I want to give it away, and I want to go to shelters. I want to help women so they can understand they too can reach their goals.
Absolutely.
They can reach
Absolutely.
their goals, and this is how you can do it. And so I have the blueprint God has given me, what I need to reach my goals, and I just want to help other people reach their goals. And I love talking about goals. I love setting goals. I love reaching goals, and I'm just on fire. I'm gonna open up that school. I'm
Yes,
gonna definitely open up
absolutely.
that
And I'm
school.
definitely going to be joining in prayer with you about that.
Thank
Because that is powerful and it's needed. And it's not something that just will just sit out there and won't accomplish anything, but it will accomplish something because there's a need for it. And
you.
I'm definitely going to be praying with you about that. I just love the way you hear God and you know God's plan for your life and you are open to it. Sometimes I find that people say, I believe I know what God wants me to do, but I don't really want to do that. Well, then 10 years from now, we'll be still having the same conversation
Right,
because there has to be a willingness and a willfulness within you to say, Lord, I'm going to do whatever it is you want me to do because I can't do it without you anyway. So I'm just going to start walking and
right.
then I'll trust you to show me where it is I'm going and open the doors that need to be open for me. So I'm definitely going to be praying for you with regard to your connections there in Georgia. And if somebody, not if, but I know somebody will view this video, a young lady who is at the point of frustration where they feel like I've been trying and trying and trying and nothing is working.
Hmm.
What would you say to that young lady?
What I would say, get on her knees, pray, seek God, and ask Him for direction because it's not going to be easy. I'm not even finna sit up here and say this. It will not, anything that's worth it will not be easy, but you gotta hang in there no matter what. No matter what. Because I can tell you, it would take me all day if I could tell you everything that I have been through. Everything I have been through. But I did not give up. I fell, but I got right back up.
Yes.
So I would just encourage that young woman, no matter what, bills may be piling. I've been there. May not have that much groceries in your refrigerator. I have been there, but God has always came through on time. Get in a circle of go to church because that's what kept me rooted and grounded, my foundation. Because I had family members that didn't really like me too much because I was in the church. They grew up in the church, but they went off and they did the club and the party and the drinking, smoking. Oh, but I had the kids and I had church.
Okay.
But no matter what, I never ever I dragged my kids to church. I didn't care what people said. Yes, I came in there. I wasn't married, but no matter what, me and my children was in church and we was on the first row and I was the loudest one in there praising God.
Yes.
Okay. So yes, I made sure because God, he forgives us. He loves us. That's who I'm worried about. I'm not worried about who what this sister think, what that sister think. Sis, I want to tell all my sisters, hang in there.
Yes. Yes.
Hang in there. Don't quit. It's going to get better. You got to believe in yourself and know the only person that you got to, you want to define you and who you want to approval from is God. That's
Yes.
the only person. And I don't care about nobody else. My family members, I got some that don't speak to me now because I came out and I shared my sexual abuse story. I don't care.
Right.
I
Right.
don't care because I did that to help other women, who may not, haven't came to, tell their stories, but they want to, you
Absolutely.
know.
Absolutely. And sometimes when you share, I remember, let's say this and I'm going to let you go. But I remember when I was hospitalized in a mental health unit and diagnosed with major depression and anxiety disorder. And being the bishop's daughter, being the pastor's daughter, I was talked about, I was ostracized, I was told I was faking a relationship with God, because if I really had a relationship with God, I wouldn't have been depressed. All I had to do was read the Bible and pray, and that would have took care of it, blah, blah, blah. And so I ended up admitted in the hospital. Well, when I came out of the hospital and as the healing started, I began sharing my story with some other young women. And so, of course, there were some who had said to me, "Oh my God, I can't believe you told that. Like, I would be so embarrassed. People are not going to receive you anymore in the church. They don't want to hear nothing you have to say because they're going to say you're crazy." And then for every person that would come to me and say that, 5 people would come to me. Some of them, like Nicodemus by night, because they didn't want everybody to know they were coming. But they would come to me and say, "Thank you so much for your honesty and for sharing your story, because I'm going through the same thing, but I didn't know how to talk about it." And so this is what I tell people all the time. Your story is not just about you. What you've been through is not just about you. And sometimes when you're going through something, you feel like you're the only person in the whole wide world that is going through that. But right exactly while you're going through that, there's somebody else going through the same thing. And when they hear you say, "Yes, I did have children out of wedlock. I went to church where they pointed at me and talked about me and whispered, but I still went and gave God the glory. I brought those children that God blessed me with to the house of God. And I didn't let anybody make me be ashamed or make my children feel ashamed." Then there's somebody else sitting there thinking, "Wow, that's exactly what I needed to hear."
Right.
I just want to encourage you, just keep doing what you're doing. I am honored to call you my sister and my friend. I got to do better with staying in touch, because I'm just really not good at that. But I really, there's some people that touch your life in a special way, and they come into your life at a specific time on your journey, and God uses them to hold you up. And He did that for me with you. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And so I got to do better with supporting them, buying some hair products, hair product, and a book. I got to do better.
That's okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go. I just wanted you to come and share your story, because every story is unique and your gift is powerful. And that gift that when I asked you about that, like the motivating force, the thing that keeps you going, everybody doesn't think they have that, but they do. And so hearing you say, "I refuse to give up," will change somebody's life today. I guarantee you, hearing you say those words will change the trajectory of somebody's life who was on the verge of just saying, forget it, for just whatever. But when they hear you say, I didn't give up, they will say, well, maybe I can go a little bit further.
Right.
Yeah. So again, I thank you so much for joining me. It is so good to see you. It's been a while since we've talked, off of social media anyway. But I'm honored that you joined me. I appreciate you. I'm going to say this for real, then I'm going to let you go. You know, preachers say that like 2 or 3 times, they say before they stop talking. But I was thinking as you were talking about, even when I felt in my spirit that I wanted to start this little talk show. And I started thinking of all the things that I wanted to have to make it professional looking, professional sounding. Like I wanted banners on the wall and special lighting and all this, that, and that I've seen other people do. And I kept putting it off. But I'd wake up in the middle of the night with ideas for topics and for names of people that I wanted to be sure to invite. It wouldn't let me go. And so I was talking to my son and my sister, and I was like, oh, I want to wait until, you know, so-and-so, they have a show and they got these nice banners on the wall, blah, blah, blah. And my sister said, let me tell you something. When people tune in, they are not tuning in to look at banners.
Right.
And they're not tuning in to see what kind of lights you have. They're tuning in for the content of what's being said on the show. Right. And that encouraged me. And even while you were talking tonight, I was thinking of some other things, ideas that I wanted to do. And I have reached out to some people and asked them would they be my guests, and they said no. Oh, wow. People that I know personally, not just through social media. Yeah. And they said no. And then I've had other people say, I can't do it unless you're paying me, stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I'm not, you know, not in a position to do that yet. But then I just said, well, that's not who I'm supposed to invite. So, you know, whoever it is that's supposed to come, they will come. And I thank you, because as we are growing and getting larger and expanding our territory, as Jabez says, I will remember that you came tonight and you encouraged me. And I really appreciate it more than I know how to say.
And I'm honored. I'm beyond honored. And I'm gonna be honest. I haven't turned down anybody, you know, just because I have a doctorate degree. Because this is my third show this year. You know, God is, you know, He's leading people to me, and my story is being shared. And no, I can't wait to see what God is gonna do with you. I am honored, and I tell my daughter, start right where you are. Start right where you are, and you're going to see how God is going to elevate you. I know it. I can see it. God is going to definitely do a thing in you, and you just continue, you know, to be encouraged and keep doing what you're doing, because I'm honored to be here. I definitely am. I'm honored.
Thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
love you, my sister.
I love you too.
All right, keep me in your prayers, and we will talk very soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
God bless you.